It's incredible that you think that that's a legitimate dispute.
You know, I allowed you to spew your ridiculous
the entire world on one hand, and the U.S. enabling Israel to violate international law is the dispute that you're saying.
Much as the Palestinian Arabs in Gaza are not capable of electing a legitimate government. So, all right.
Thank you for that racist dig. I appreciate it. But
welcome back everyone, and I hope you're all well. Where do we start today? These past few days have been hectic. We've seen it all. Netanyahu visiting the White House, Trump declaring his ownership of Gaza, the mass evacuation of Palestinians into other lands. This was discussed in length on the Piers show. The star of the show was Omar Bada, a political analyst and human rights advocate, and he really gives a reality check to Michael Knowles, also a political commentator. Things get heated and lots of interesting points to discuss. Let's get started.
Than any presidents in our lifetime, certainly in my lifetime.
But that's not the question.
Republican or Democrat.
That wasn't the question. The question was, what's the difference ideologically between America getting involved in helping Ukraine repel Russia and America getting involved in helping Israel repel Hamas? They're both thousands of miles away. They're conflicts that don't directly involve America. What is the ideological difference?
Well, I suppose we have to shift the premise a little bit here. America is involved in everything. Pace to my libertarian friends, America is involved in everything. That is in part because we're the global hegemon. That is in part because we are an empire and have been an empire for a very long time. It is in part because nations have interests. All nations have interests. Even tiny little nations have interests, and they seek to influence other nations to better accord with those interests. So we are going to be involved in some way all over the world, whether that is in Ukraine or whether that is in the Middle East. The question is, how are we going to be involved? And here I think President Trump's commentary was really, really important. Trump says, on the one hand, we're going to take over Gaza. We're going to own Gaza. You saw Netanyahu's eyebrow went up. I'm not sure he was totally prepared for that one during their press conference. On the other hand, he says, someone else is going to pay for all of this. We're not going to pay for this, and other people are going to figure it out. So what does that mean? If he says we're going to take over Gaza, we're going to own Gaza, people, I think, assumed that that means we're going to send in the Marines, or that we're at least going to send in the Trump Organization contractors to build a nice casino. On the other hand, the Marines cost money. So if someone else is going to pay for this, then it seems to me President Trump is saying, no, we're not going to be directly involved. We're just going to put a stop to this war, which is why I think our other co-panelist here, who makes the suggestion that Trump is always just giving the Israelis exactly what they want, is totally absurd. President Trump got a ceasefire over the objection of many Israelis. President Trump has helped the Palestinian people a lot more than any presidents in our lifetimes.
Okay, so before we move on, Michael raises a few points. We forget we're talking about people's lives here and homes being destroyed. The first point he makes is America is involved in everything, and also because it's a global hegemon. Sounds like some sort of Pokemon to me, but in its simplest definition is a country that is the most dominant power in international relations. That still doesn't explain why it needs to get involved in all matters international, and let's be honest here, they don't. They only get involved in matters which benefit their own best interest. The second point he makes is the takeover of Gaza. Owning Gaza, someone else is going to pay for this. This is the definition of a bully. What was the word he used? Global hegemon. So America is going to use their power, put pressure on neighboring countries to take in Palestinian refugees, even though they have already refused, make those countries pay for housing, and then rebuild Gaza into an oasis with the primary goal of what? To fill his own pockets. Greed.
And so I think what you're seeing here
literally the most ridiculous thing that has ever been said.
Well, I think
he's
we
done
can fact check
more
President
to
Trump
undermine
brought about the
Palestinians
ceasefire.
at every turn.
Is that ridiculous?
Yeah, he did bring about a temporary ceasefire before he's about to propose a full ethnic cleansing. Listen, I have to interject here because Trump has done more to undermine Palestinian rights. He's recognized Israel's illegal occupation, illegal settlements.
What rights?
Recognized Jerusalem as Israel's capital in violation of international law. Every single, I'm listing them for you.
That had been U.S. policy
There's
for 3 decades.
Entire unanimity of condemnation of Israel's illegal occupation that Trump has recognized.
Unanimity?
And just on that point, I really have to say that I'm fundamentally
unanimity.
Some global hegemon
NGO,
acting like a rogue state in order to enable another rogue state.
Omar absolutely hits the nail on the head. A global hegemon acting like a rogue state, enabling another rogue state. Two states out of control and doing what they like. In my personal opinion, I don't think it was ever this difficult to find a solution. There needs to be a common ground. And if you're a global hegemon, you can find or make solutions or enforce them quickly and swiftly. The problem and the truth is no one is really concerned. Michael states what rights. This is what happens when we're in a world where people can do what they like and say what they want. It's so easy to wear a suit, sit in front of a camera and spill BS when it's not your life in danger or your home that's being destroyed. Regarding rights, never mind anything else, the NRC state, in common with all people in the world, Palestinians have the right to protection of their basic rights under international human rights, regardless of their place of residence. Additionally, Palestinians in occupied Palestine are owed full protection under international humanitarian law. This includes the right to protection against forcible transfer from their land, the protection of property rights, freedom of movement, work rights, and the rights to residency and family life.
Yes, the entire world, if you look at the logs of the international, of the UN General Assembly voting, it's obvious that Israel and the US are out of step with the rest of the world on illegal occupation. I mean, it's just being condescended to somebody who does not know what they're talking about. It's just, it's always a wonderful experience. Maybe listen a little bit and try to learn and understand actually how the world works.
Is the global
no, you don't know what you're talking about. You're incredibly out of your depth. Okay, allow me to say a few words uninterrupted if you don't mind.
I think you've said a lot of words.
I'm extremely uncomfortable with the idea.
The United States is the global hegemon.
I have not spoken. You've been speaking over me the entire time I've been speaking.
All right, listen, guys, time out. We can't actually hear. Hang on, we can't hear either of you. So Omar, say what you want to say, then I'll let Michael respond.
Sure. First, I want to say that I'm incredibly object to the suggestion that the entire Palestine-Israel conflict is like two children fighting over a neutral toy and the parent needs to come and say, it belongs to neither of you, neither of you gets to play with it. The correct analogy, if you want to use that, it's a parent walking their spoiled child out in the street, finding another toy, another kid who has his own toy, and letting their own child get on top of that other kid, beat the living crap out of them, and take the toy out of their hands. And what you need is for the parent to say, let go of that other kid's toy and leave it alone. The entire world agrees. There's no debate, especially on Gaza and the West Bank, that those are occupied Palestinian territories that Israel has no legal title to whatsoever. This is the entire UN. This is the International Court of Justice, the General Assembly, the Security Council, every major organization in the world. Everybody recognizes that this is Palestinian territory that Israel has no legal right to. And so that's the dynamic. And if, again, you want to try something a little bit different and say the idea that Trump is more pro-Palestinian or has done more for Palestinians, literally he's done nothing but strip Palestinian rights inch by inch in a world in which the U.S. has always said, you know, by on the one hand saying Palestinians deserve their own state, they deserve freedom from Israeli occupation, where U.S. actions were essentially to allow Israel to continue to entrench that occupation without any question. Trump came along and made the rhetoric match the policy. He fixed it in the wrong direction, which means that now Netanyahu is having his wish list. What he wants to do is empty Palestine of indigenous Palestinians in order to make it a Jewish supremacist state and not have the apartheid problem anymore, where Israel rules over Palestinians without granting them rights.
All right.
And when you come and give that to Israel, you're not pro-Palestinian, and it's utterly absurd and ridiculous for anybody to suggest that Trump has done anything.
Okay, I'll let Michael respond to that. Then I'm going to come to get other reaction. Michael.
Go on, Omar. I'm so glad you put Michael in his place. Regarding the analogy Omar mentioned, previously one of the other panel members used the analogy of two kids fighting over a toy and the parent removing the toy. Omar's example, and I'm not being biased here, is far more befitting. The toy in this case is, of course, Gaza. The other thing I forgot to mention was Michael mentioned no other president has done what Trump has done. That's because previous presidents regarding this specific example have been just as bad, if not worse.
I think it's kind of silly to say there's total unanimity on the matter of Israel and Palestine when we're sitting on a panel debating the matter of Israel-Palestine, and especially when the global hegemon, the United States of America, disagrees with all of the two-bit international institutions and non-government organizations that you're citing. So it's simply a matter of fact. It's a long-standing controversy, and if you're talking about Palestinian rights, we need to be specific as to what those rights are. There has never been any such thing as a Palestinian nation state. There's no right to elect
that's a legitimate dispute.
You know, I allowed you to spew your ridiculous
the entire world on one hand, and the U.S. enabling Israel to violate international law is the dispute that you're saying.
Much as the Palestinian Arabs in Gaza are not capable of electing a legitimate government. So,
Yeah,
all right.
Thank you for that
talking.
racist dig. I appreciate it. But no, let's just be clear.
Racist.
What the U.S.
I'm
is
the same
saying is that
color as the
Israel is above the
Palestinians.
law. And if you think that that makes it a legitimate dispute about what the law is, that's an absurd
When did I ever
position.
say
You're welcome
Israel
to
is
take
above
it.
the law?
But
When did I ever suggest that? You're trying to stop me from speaking
you're
because
suggesting
I'm refusing your argument,
that there
but
is no
that's fine.
unanimity. You're suggesting that there's a legitimate dispute, and I'm telling you that the dispute is the United States is saying Israel is above the law. That's the dispute. The
I
entire
don't
world
think that's
thinks
what
that
Trump said.
international law means something, and you can't take other people's land. And the U.S. says no, Israel gets to
All
do
right.
it. That's the dispute.
Let me bring in.
The US enabling Israel to carry on the onslaught with a dream of building an oasis. Every bully has his day. Eventually, one must fall. Michael's so annoyed he was put in his place by Omar. He ends his statement by dehumanizing a population already going through so much struggle. What goes around comes around in this life or the next. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. Support me by liking and subscribing, and I'll see you on my next video. Peace out.